Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the DomainCast. I'm your host, Super Mech Guy. I'm here with Zildjian65, and today we're going to be going over the PS Vita, Apex Legends, and the Nintendo Switch. So first off, let's start off with the PS Vita. Zildjian, tell me what news we're getting from Sony about the Vita right now.
Well, the only country that has production of it left, which is Japan, is ending its production of the Vita.
That's not the greatest thing to hear. The Vita, I think to me, the Vita was awesome. It had a lot of horsepower graphics wise compared to the 3DS. That was, I think, the main selling point, unless you disagree with me, over the 3DS.
I feel like the main selling point, well, if we're talking about Japan specifically, there was actually a lot more games on the Vita in Japan than there is in the US. There's a lot more third-party games that are Japan exclusive. And if you're talking the West, it was really sold as a remote play accessory for the PS4.
I remember when the PS Vita was first being announced and hyped up, and the early days of the launch process for that. Some reviewers and people were calling it like a pocket PS3. Do you think that's kind of accurate to what the Vita was? Because I do think it had some really great caliber games on there that had really high graphic fidelity. Like, I don't know if you remember the game called Killzone Mercenaries on there.
One of the best FPSs ever made.
Yeah, and it's just like amazing how they got such a great experience on that little handheld.
Oh yeah, definitely, and it is I wouldn't say mini PS3. It's a system like, but okay, power wise, I would say it's in between the PS2 and PS3.
Yeah.
In terms of the games you can play, like a game like Mortal Kombat 9, which granted, my Vita has become a Mortal Kombat 9 machine and nothing more than that. Like, that looks like it's kind of like a late PS3 version of the game, even though that game was kind of in that weird area of next gen and old gen. So it's like, yeah, obviously when you compare like that version of Game Difference, it looks pretty bad. But like you're looking at a handheld, it looks really good.
No, yeah, for a handheld game, like you got to remember we're coming off like PSP and DS. It's a
And
huge jump.
PSP was impressive.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think another part where we should address is the whole memory card fiasco Sony had with the Vita with their proprietary memory units and how expensive they were compared to the 3DS.
Listen, like, okay, Nintendo did it right with having just straight up SD card in the 3DS. What killed the Vita, I think, was the memory card. And
I think so too.
well, this is another killer of it, and they actually fixed this one, was the charger. If you remember the original Vita, it didn't use the regular charger; it used a special charger. Whereas the second Vita just uses a straight up USB, like an Android.
Oh, so they went with a proprietary charger port for the first generation.
Yep.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah. That's why when you get a Vita, you gotta be careful that you're getting the right charger. Because if you're getting the first, which I'd recommend if you're getting a Vita, try and find the first model because it has the nice OLED screen that looks super awesome. And it actually feels better in your hands than the second generation Vita.
I think one of my first experiences with the PS Vita was at one of my friends' houses. We were just there chilling for a band practice, right, of all things. And he brought out his PSP Vita, and I was like, hey, dude, you got Call of Duty on there. Let me try it out. Me being a Call of Duty fan.
Oh, yeah.
No, not with the Black Ops. No, Black Ops 4, we don't touch that for obvious reasons, but Declassified to me was like I was pretty intrigued by it because I was like, okay, it doesn't look that bad, It doesn't look like a Wii port or anything. It looks pretty damn good. I'm gonna try it out. I tried it out, and I was like, you know what, this isn't that bad, but definitely I would prefer playing a mainstay Call of Duty on the home console.
Well, the thing about, to specifically comment on Black Ops Declassified, I actually had that game. It plays fine. Mechanically, it's fine. There's not much of an issue. The problem people have with it is the story of it. Like, it's not interesting. It has the Black Ops universe characters, but they're not portrayed in interesting ways. The stories are not that good. Oh, and also, in the campaign, there's no checkpoints.
Checkpoints. Why no checkpoints? Come on.
I don't know why, but it's one of those. The campaign's not that interesting. What is extra interesting is to this day, there is a active multiplayer community on Call of Duty for the Vita.
That just goes to show you how many people like Call of Duty and the Vita. I didn't get too much time with it because practice started, so I couldn't play too much with it.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate the concept or the product. I loved it.
What I find really interesting about the Vita Call of Duty game is there's actually a unique mode that's exclusive to this game.
Oh, what type of mode is it?
It's like a combination of zombies and Spec Ops.
You see, that sounds awesome because did you play Modern Warfare 3?
I love MW3.
Do you love the Spec Ops mode? Because I sure did.
I like Spec Ops mode. I'm more of a zombies guy, pardon me, but I really like Spec Ops.
So it's like a mixture of Spec Ops and zombies. I mean, that sounds like a hell of a time.
It is. Look up some videos on it. It's really interesting.
I will.
Yeah. So going into Apex Legends here, speaking of multiplayer games, and it's best on PC Master Race.
There you go. You heard it here first, guys.
Yes. No one else has ever told you that. No one ever.
The first time on DomainCast.
We're the first people ever in the world to tell you PC Master Race. So what do you think of Apex?
Apex, I think, is... People are going to give me crap for saying this, which is fine. I understand why, but Apex brings one of the biggest changes to Battle Royale ever, and it's the ping system. You don't even have to have a mic to effectively communicate with your teammates in this game. Pinging enemies, it just works. You know, there's nothing like, oh, they're northwest 355, like where, and then you got to fiddle around with like a compass on screen. You just ping them.
Oh yeah, and something I believe this is getting fixed to my knowledge. At least one of my buddies told me last night is that I don't like the forced teams. I understand teamwork aspect of it, but it shouldn't be forced.
Yeah, a lot of people have been bringing that up when I go on like the comment sections of Apex videos and stuff. And I agree, because let's say you're playing, because this happened to me once, and it was a pretty bad experience. I was in a squad of randoms, and the other two guys left, and it was just me against the other squads. It's not a fair fight. If I knew that was going to happen, I should have just gone into the solos mode, which the game doesn't have, which I think it should have.
I believe people have data mined it and found it in the files. I believe people have.
So it's only a matter of time before they bring that out, in my opinion, to the full game.
Yeah. What I find interesting about a lot of the aspect of the game is I like the gunplay in it.
Oh yeah, it's really smooth.
Oh yeah, it's way smoother than I thought it was. I don't know what you played it on, but I played it on PC. I actually downloaded Origin for it. This is actually the first EA game I played in like 3 years. But I downloaded it. It didn't take that long to download, and it booted up really fast. From me hitting play, it was up in 10 seconds.
Yeah, like I think someone else brought this up. One of my friends, like these battle royale games usually launch with a bunch of issues, since it's like early access, and Fortnite's still in early access. But with Apex Legends, well, I'm gonna sidetrack real quick here. When H1Z1 Battle Royale launched on PS4, it was a buggy mess. Load times were like 20 minutes plus. Apex, I had no problem with at all.
Oh yeah, in the launch of Apex makes me wonder, how long has the game essentially been done?
Yeah, like, have they had the full product ready, but they were delaying it for some reason? Like, you got to think of like game windows, you know?
I wonder if the game was done like last November, but they used the last few months to really iron out all the patches and have it so it had a smooth launch.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me if they did. I hope they did that, because it's a good game. You know, there's not much of a technical issue with most of the game,
and it doesn't take that much to run it either. I was running it at ultra high settings at over 300 FPS, perfectly fine.
Yeah, there you go.
And I know that may not sound like important or big to a lot of people, but a lot of games simply aren't optimized to run at that high of settings.
No, yeah, Zelda has a good point there. Like a lot of developers just phone it in, and they're like, okay, just make sure you have a lot of horsepower. Good luck there.
Oh yeah, like a lot of just people say it runs fine at 60, whatever. They actually like optimize it to run at hundreds of frames, and it looks beautiful. My one issue I have, and this is a gripe I have of almost all games, is the microtransactions in it in the store, and there's like $20 stuff.
Yeah, that I don't think that's ever gonna go away.
It's EA. What are we gonna do about it?
Yeah, I mean,
But what I
no,
do
go
like,
ahead.
pardon me, you can speak.
I was gonna bring up real quick.
Yeah.
I think the reason if you guys haven't tried Apex yet, just because it's a dumb battle royale game, it's from EA. Respawn Entertainment, the guys behind Titanfall, aka the guys behind Modern Warfare 2, or the
And the
people who
original
made
Call of
this,
Duty.
and the original Call of Duty, are behind this game. So if you like those games, I highly suggest you give this one a try. I especially like the gunplay in this game because it feels good. It feels natural.
It does, and it is a very different take on battle royale. Just like Fortnite was when PUBG was always the raging. Fortnite was different, and now Fortnite's on top, and Apex is different, so it's naturally on top. So this makes me excited to see what battle royale game is going to take over that,
Yeah,
because it's going to push competition.
it's gonna keep pushing the envelope. Like Fortnite's a big thing was building, and I think this one isn't necessarily, not like the powers necessarily, but there's just something else about it. It's like everything comes together as a nice package.
Oh yeah, and it is a very well packaged. I think something that's maybe a bit of an issue, in my opinion, with it is
The looting.
some of its legends. I think they need to really work out the legends more. I'm not saying what they have is bad, but it's so limited that like each of them have and yes, there are unique abilities to them, but they're too similar to each other to me. They need to really branch it out and give these characters more backstory, more lore, more unique abilities.
Yeah, like character wise, I've only picked really two at this point because the people I play with already picked the other guys. I just choose the healer and the little robot guy. That's primarily my main because of his mobility abilities. You can throw a zip line and just zip everywhere, which reminds me a lot of the Titanfall 2 series and Titanfall in general.
Yes, it's very much. I actually never played Titanfall because, like I alluded to earlier, I haven't played EA. And just a quick backstory, net is after the whole Battlefront 2 situation, I refused to play any EA game if I had to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that. That was a pretty big
Yeah,
screw up on their part.
yeah. So, but like, from what I understand, this game could feel like a boots on the ground, more classic Call of Duty style version of a Titanfall per se.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to put it.
Because Titanfall is very futuristic, to my understanding. Again, I haven't played it, but you can get a pretty good idea based off how it looks. It's giant robots on the cover. What do you expect out of it?
Yeah, I mean it's futuristic in a sense where it's like, oh look, they got like all these weird like holographic sites and stuff. But
Yeah.
to me personally, like the gunplay feels very Call of Duty ish. So I feel right at home in that situation since it's Call of Duty, right? So you just adapt really quickly to it.
Yes, definitely. And the game, what I really like about it, it's not one of those that has a learning curve. Anyone can, in my opinion, could hop into a match of Apex and do halfway decent.
Yeah, I don't think it's that significantly hard for anyone to get into it or to try their best at it. The trigger controls are practically the same as every other first-person shooter. I mean, the pinging system might take you a little time to get used to, but it's pretty easy and pretty resourceful once you know what you're doing. I think one little concern I have with Apex Legends is that sometimes it feels like when you land at some place, you're grabbing everything except a weapon. You just can't find a weapon sometimes.
And that's something that they need to work out. And that's something I feel Fortnite does really well, is the way they lay out the weapons on the map. Because you're guaranteed to find one in Fortnite. You're guaranteed to.
Yeah,
Because they
I'm
spread
never
them
low
out
on
so
weapons on Fortnite, but on Apex Legends, it's like the first 5 minutes are a mad dash to get any weapon at all.
But there's
And if you
something
don't,
interesting here about this discussion that we're having is all these little issues we're having were these aren't game breaking things. These are kind of learning curve things.
no, yeah, it doesn't break the game in any way. It's just little issues. That's all it is.
Yeah, and it's something that obviously, like mentioned earlier, people have data mined it and found that there's going to be solo play. They've also found little things like we're talking about here in there. So Respawn is definitely putting a lot of work into it. There's always that skeptical side of me, and I hate to be negative, but what's EA going to do to ruin this?
You see, yeah, that's what I'm thinking because we both know how EA's been doing financially. They ain't doing so hot. And Apex Legends, right? Respawn Entertainment. Titanfall 2 didn't do so well in sales, so EA might have been like, okay, Respawn, it's either do or die. And Respawn comes out with this banger of a game called Apex Legends. Now EA is seeing money in their eyes, and they're just, I bet you right now, they're thinking of like, DLC this, microtransaction that, $5 for a red dot site, let's do it.
Yeah. And that stuff, I think, will come into picture, but right now, the game's in a good state. I can't complain about its state. It launched fine. I mean, I'm going to look up its score in Metacritic. I recall hearing it got something in the 90s.
No, yeah, it had a really good launch, and right now you can only play it on, I think it's PS4, Xbox One, and PC, but you never know. You might be playing it on the Nintendo Switch sometime.
I've been hearing rumblings that that's coming.
I hope it does. It'd be nice to see on a Nintendo Switch. And speaking of Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch. I know this is going to be a controversial topic.
Also, before we get into that, the Metacritic score for Apex Legend is 88.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's got a good score.
If you haven't tried it out, I suggest you do. It's a great game, fun game. So moving on to the Nintendo Switch, this might be a little crazy to some people, but is it indeed one of the best consoles of all time? Zildjian, what do you think about that? The portability factor, the home console factor, the hybrid system?
It's interesting that type of topic, and I brought it up today. I was thinking about it in the long lines of, because when we talk about console, let's take something like the Atari. At the time, people probably said this is the greatest thing ever because that's what they knew. But we've hit a point where we know so much. We know about what hardware can do, and we know what Nintendo's able to do, where they're not always power. They're games, and somehow other games work on their systems. So, considering reputation, or I shouldn't say stigma, but how Nintendo works,
Oh, yeah.
I feel that it could be one of the best systems ever because the fact that, and this is just something that maybe a lot of people don't realize, is most brand new games that come out, like a Far Cry New Dawn or a Wolfenstein or any of that, it doesn't need 8 gigabytes of RAM to run it. Like a lot of people think it would, which is 8 gigabytes of RAM is the standard for the Xbox One, the PS4, all that. And most PCs. Most people have 16 bits of RAM, 16. I need to get on that pretty soon. But basically, you don't need that much space to run the games fully.
You got a point there. Like, if you look at the ports of Doom and Wolfenstein, I think, on the Nintendo Switch, they're running on there.
Yeah, most of what you see, like let's say a game like Doom or Wolfenstein on Xbox or PlayStation, is the visuals. The actual core game itself is under 3 gigabytes of RAM. So, and the rest is just used for making it look really pretty, which is fine. But the Switch is at right in the middle line of it runs the game and it looks fine, not glorious pretty, like we're seeing of Trials Rising. Have you tried to open beta for that?
No, I haven't tried it yet.
The coloring isn't the greatest on the Switch, but it's completely playable. it looks fine. It just doesn't look as vibrant as the rest of the versions. And that's something that. So I would argue because of the portability factor, the hybrid factor, fact of it runs most games. It runs much more than people can realize. But there's working versions of games that people would expect would never run on the system. It's much more powerful than it is. I would argue it's up there with great systems all time. I would argue
Yeah,
it's up
like
there with the PS2 and the GameCube.
going back to what you said about like the power aspect and how games are running on it. Going back in time to the Nintendo Wii era, and I guess a little bit into the Wii U era, playing Call of Duty on the Nintendo Wii was a very, very butchered experience. If any of you have ever
Except
played
for
it,
Black Ops on the Wii. Black Ops on the Wii is actually a pretty complete experience, -5.
by like butchered experience, I'm not necessarily saying gameplay because the gameplay's still there, but I'm talking about graphics wise, and some kill streaks were also taken off due to hardware
Yeah.
limitations on the Wii. But with the Nintendo Switch, when I look at it and I'm just like, this isn't much of a downgrade. It still looks good. It's still very playable. If you go back in time to like the Wii era, it would have been a lot more worse. The downgrade you'd be seeing on the Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, and and that was the case then. I mean, the Wii had its really good shining moments. When you look at a game like Dead Space on the Wii, that game was specifically made for the Wii. That utilized Resident Evil 4 for the Wii. It utilized what the Wii did best. I would argue to this day, the best way to play Resident Evil 4 is on the Wii. The best way to
mean,
play Manhunt 2 is on the Wii. A lot of those third-party games ran best. And that's something that I want to get to about Nintendo systems is these systems can be amazing for third parties. You just have to put the work into it.
yeah, that's the thing. You gotta be able to commit to the system.
Yeah, and like the Switch possibly is the greatest. That one because it's first party lineup, but it's third party. You can play anywhere you want, and this is to me this is a factor because I'm such a tech geek. You can if you have an original Switch from which I do. I'm assuming you do as well, most likely.
Mhm.
From the March 2017 to December 2017, you can hack it at a literal hardware level. Hacking this thing once Nintendo doesn't care about it in like 15 years is going to be insane. It's going to have
You're gonna have a nice machine on your hands.
Oh yeah, this system is the lifespan is going to be way longer than any other console I've seen ever. It's going to because of the hacking ability with it.
Call me old fashioned, but the the cartridges, I really like that style. I think discs are cool, but the little cards, it's just cool to me.
A lot of people don't even realize this, but cartridges are actually smarter than
The
discs.
CDs and all that stuff.
They can hold more.
I did not know that.
Yeah, the max a disc can hold, a Blu-ray disc, is 50 gigabytes. There is 64 gigabyte Switch cartridges out there. No one uses them, but they do exist.
It's all about pricing, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at... Here's a good example. The Vita. The memory card, there is 128 gigabyte memory cards. You can get 128 gigabyte SD cards for your 3DS. Like, that stuff, like, all you have to do then is just change the file type on it, convert that to a game. And that can hold way more than a disc can. That's something that I didn't realize until I got a Switch. How, because, like, for example, let's say a game like Crash Bandicoot, you have to download parts of it on other systems. On Switch, you just pop the cartridge in and you can play it.
That's the beauty of it. You just pop it in and you're good to go. You don't have to download it. I think Spyro also had that issue too.
Like, I remember tweeting that day that Crash came out for the Switch. I remember tweeting, I feel really old today because I popped the game into a system and I didn't need to download anything.
No, yeah, you got a point there. Like usually it's
that
like
made me feel really old.
just the time where you could put in a disc or a cartridge and boom, play the game. There wasn't no update needed to play the game.
Technically, a game like, let's say, Assassin's Creed Odyssey or something like that, you technically don't even need day one patch to play it. You can, if your system's completely offline, in rural Canada, middle of nowhere, you technically can still play it. A lot of people don't even realize that you don't even technically need day one patches.
It's just for optimization mostly, right?
Most times, like a case like Kingdom Hearts 3, though, they actually hid content in there because I don't know if you recall this, but about November, early December-ish, copies of Kingdom Hearts 3 got leaked to the public.
I heard something about that. I didn't really look that much into it though.
But Square Enix was safe because they put the ending and all the endgame stuff and some of the last levels into day one patch.
Oh, smart.
Because people were putting gameplay up and recording it, putting it online. But no one had the ending, and then I know the Kingdom Hearts fan base would not have been happy with that.
A leaked ending is never a good way to end your game, man. And speaking of endings, we should talk about Reggie leaving Nintendo. Big surprise.
Yeah, it was, because it wasn't that long ago that we just had a direct, and I'm just thinking, man, more Reggie.
Yeah, I'm like, really? He's leaving already? Like, what?
Okay, I know it seems like just natural to us, because you're over 20, right?
Yeah.
I'm 20 as well. He's just been around ever since we've been following gaming. Like, you don't really think about it when someone's been around.
Yeah, he's been around for like a long time. Like, I look at Nintendo in Reggie's face.
15 years.
Yeah, there you go. It's just he's just there always. It's gonna be really weird.
He was just there, and I remember when he became president, because I remember that because that was shortly before the Wii came out. That was like spring, summerish 2006. That happened. And I got a Wii launch one day, and I still have my original Wii from day one. But I remember thinking this Reggie guy is kind of funny because I saw that kicking ass thing.
My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass. I'm about taking names, and we're about making games.
Even as a little kid, you're like, that dude.
That guy right there.
Yeah.
That guy.
That cool. He just has a charm about him, especially when I think about the Game Awards last year that happened, and we had the guy from Sony, Phil Spencer from Microsoft.
Yeah, that was a nice little moment of unity right there, getting the big three all together on
It was
stage.
also the most moment of unity, but it also showcased just how unnatural the other two people are. I shouldn't say unnatural. The Sony guys, I don't know his name.
I think Kaz, right?
Whatever his name is, he's just really unnatural. But Phil Spencer, you're like, whatever. You're Phil Spencer.
Yeah,
it's like a neutral feeling about him. Like, no one hates him, but no one really likes him. It's like
he's just there.
He's just there. But Reggie, everyone's loves Reggie.
Yeah,
and
Reggie's the centerpiece of that.
Yeah, and it showed. Because it's like Reggie didn't care about the war between all of them. He was just happy about video games. Where you could tell in Phil Spencer and Sony guy, they're like,
oh, there's some tension there.
But Reggie's just we like video games. Reggie wasn't always obviously the most avid gamer in the world, but he was so passionate about the business that I don't think it mattered.
Yeah, he was very passionate about it. You'd see him in a lot of silly promos and stuff, and he wasn't afraid to get silly with the fans. Say funny stuff, and a lot of great memes came from him too. My body is ready will forever stay with me for my entire life.
And I think we know the reason that Reggie quit. I think it's because of Soulja Boy.
Soulja Boy, he knows. He knows. There was an article that came out that was basing it around Soulja Boy the rapper, the guy who came out with those really, really bad bootleg consoles that he got sued for.
He drop shipped them.
Yeah. There you go. They were just rebranded Chinese consoles from AliExpress or Alibaba, one of those sites. And he dropped a tweet where he said, "I know why the reason Reggie left. It's because he didn't want to compete with Soulja Gaming." And I was just like, oh my God, is this serious? Is this guy for real?
I can't even tell if Soldier Boy is a troll or not. I can't even tell.
Soldier Boy is just doing what Soldier Boy does. He's just soldiering on in this video gaming world. It's, oh my god, it's just the insanity from this guy, you know, like I just can't take it, man. I just can't.
Well, on that note, I think we should end here. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Super Mech Guy at my YouTube channel, Super Mech Guy.
Is it Super Mech Guy all across the board?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at Zildjian65YT. You can find me on YouTube as Zildjian65. We'll have our channels linked in description, obviously. And where can they follow more Game Domain content?
All right, guys, if you want to keep it tuned here to Game Domain, don't forget to hit that notification bell for future uploads. Subscribe, obviously, to the Game Domain channel for future uploads of the DomainCast and other videos and documentaries, which we do also. I recommend watching the Gran Turismo documentary. I would say very good one, a favorite of mine. So go subscribe to Game Domain and follow us at our Twitter at Real Game Domain.
With that being said, thank you for tuning in today, and we hope you like what you heard.
See you later, everybody.